Welcome back to the Mind Body Project. Thanks for taking a little time to join me today. If I were to say you get 5 people, you get 5 people in your life, what 5 people would those be? And as I ask that question, you're probably thinking, naming names. Okay, I want Sally, I want Bob, I want John. And you start naming the 5 people by name that you want. It might be loved ones, it might be friends, it might be coworkers, just somebody that you might be around and you go, I enjoy their company. And you probably name those names and you probably thought about them, and if you didn't name them out loud, you probably, in your mind, you're thinking, okay, those are the people I want because they make me laugh, they make me feel good, they make me feel happy, they're great, whatever it is. Those are the people I want. But we're going to talk about today the 5 types of people in your life, but we're not going to name names of person, what type of people you need in your life. We named 5 people that you would want in your life, but we're going to talk about the 5 types of people that you need in your life. The first one is the cheerleader. How many of you have a cheerleader in your life? I've been doing races, I've been doing events for a long time, for the last 16 years, from half marathons to obstacle course races to cycling races to triathlons, all the different ones. And at all of those events, I think in 16 years, and I don't know how many events, that my wife has only missed one. And the one she missed was because our daughter was in the hospital, had allergic reaction. She had to go to the hospital. There's no way my wife could make it to the event, but she said, hey, you go, and I'm going to cheer you on from afar. But she is always there. She's my official photographer, but she's also always the biggest cheerleader. She is always there at the finish line, and I don't know how she does it because we've done all kinds of different events that you have to find the finish line, that it's hard to get to, and but she's always there. She always manages to find the finish line, and as I see her, she's always cheerleading me on, like, you can do this. And there's been times when I've been hurt that come through the finish line. There's been times when I'm doing the best I've ever done, and she's there. There's times when I just, like, halfway through, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, but I keep going, and she's there. And she's always is cheering me on. You can do this. You can do this. Way to go. I'm so proud of you. And she's my biggest fan. And not only is it with the races, but in life. I have all these goofy ideas. I come up with ideas all the time. And she's always saying, yeah, do that. She's always encouraging. She's I always know she's going to be a source of encouragement for me. She's always positive. There's times when I'm down too that, just as in the races, I'm coming through and, I'm hurt. I'm like, oh, this is the worst race. This is the worst event. And she's there with her words to cheer me up, to pick me back up. And she's my cheerleader in my life. That is always, and we all hopefully have those. Through my life, my parents have been my cheerleaders. My kids have been my cheerleaders. Coworkers have been my cheerleaders. But through the years, we have different cheerleaders. But for my wife, she's been my biggest one. For all the years we've been married, it's always just my biggest cheerleader. She's always there to encourage me, and so we need that cheerleader. And I want you to think, who's a cheerleader in your life? Who's that person that is your biggest fan, is always a reliable source of encouragement, is positive, and always ready to pick you up when you're down? Who's the cheerleader in your life? Then we also need a person that is our safe space. They're the safe space. They're the one that protects us. We're just 100% comfortable with that person. And again, that's my cheerleader. That's my wife. That's Kim. She makes me laugh. She's always there to listen. That's the safe place person. And it may not be married. You may not have a significant other. So, before I got married, it was my parents. They were always, I could always talk to them. They'd always listen. I grew up with 2 brothers and a sister. I was the youngest by 5 years. So for me, I got the best of both worlds. I got the best of having siblings. But by the time I reached high school, I was like an only child. My sister had gone to college. My brothers had moved out. So I was like an only child, so I got the best of both worlds of being an only child and still having siblings. So I always think, I kind of had the coolest place. And with my parents, they were a little older, and so we'd laugh, we'd have a good time, and it was they're always there to listen because there wasn't my siblings there to vie for attention. It was just me, and so they were always my safe place growing up. And then I got married, and then Kim became my safe place, my place that I felt comfortable with, and we could laugh and we could listen. And so maybe who's that person that's a safe place for you? And again, it may not be a spouse, it may be a friend, it may be a boss, it may be somebody else, but do they do those things? Is someone that will protect you? And then how about the motivator? We all need that motivator, that someone who inspires us. For me, I think about that, and I thought as I was getting ready for today's show, I was thinking about a motivator. And I was thinking about all the different people that inspire me, and some are in life, some are in real life. I have virtual mentors that inspire me through the things I listen to or watch, or I look at their life and I think, success leaves crumbs. And whether that is in business, whether that is in religion, whether that is in exercise, whether that is in diet, success in those area leaves clues. So, that maybe that's the person that is our motivator. They're ahead of us, but they might be ahead of us in those things that we want to achieve. And that's what a motivator is. We see what they've achieved, and we want to get to that place. So we're motivated to move that direction. And they're ahead of us, but they're always ready to put a hand back and say, come with me, let me help you out. They inspire us because we know they help show us what's possible. When I watch my virtual mentors, I watch them, and maybe through an email, through the way they do their podcast, through the way they do a YouTube, through the way they preach, and I look at that and I think, that's what's possible. That is what I want to attain. And I go, okay, if they're doing it, I can do it, because that shows it's possible. Someone's doing it. If someone's doing it, that means it's possible. And they inspire us to do big things. Because sometimes we think of something being impossible, but then we see somebody doing it, and it's no longer impossible. It is possible. It's just a bigger thing than we thought we were capable of doing. I have a banner in my in the gym, inside the MTB lab, that says, "Your impossible yesterday is your hard today." And that just simply means that what we didn't think was possible yesterday, we can now do, but it's just harder. So they show us what is possible, that we can do it. We inspire to be like they are, to achieve those things, to do those things, and realize that those things are possible. We have the motivator, we have the safe space, we have the cheerleader, but we also need the challenger. We need that someone who questions us, and again, Kim is good at this. I'll say things and she'll question and say, well, what about this? What about that? I have a friend that he'll do the same. He'll say, well, what about this? What about that? They aren't afraid to tell you like it is. Say, hey, I think you're way off the rail on this deal. This is kind of what I see, what I think. And for some, they may be the polar opposite of you, which can give you a new point of view. Because, what happens when we surround ourselves with people that all think the same? There's no really new point of view, and I think sometimes we need a new point of view to be able to see something differently, to raise a question and go, I never thought about that. Good point. And then we start to think about it and go, that makes sense. Maybe I'll take a little bit of mine, a little bit of that point of view. We're going to mix them together and come up with a new point of view. So the challenger is very, very important. And sometimes they give some advice that can be uncomfortably honest sometimes. And those are good to have, because we need those sometimes hard conversations that challenge us to improve and to change. Because what doesn't challenge us, what doesn't challenge us doesn't change us, which is true. Think about that in your life. Have you ever changed without a challenge? No. Why do we lose weight? Because we're overweight. Why do we start eating nutritious foods and exercising? Maybe we have the challenge is heart disease. Maybe it's diabetes. Maybe it's pre-diabetic. Maybe it's all these other different things that if we're comfortable, we wouldn't. If it didn't challenge us, we wouldn't change. We wouldn't change for the better. So we need that challenger if we want to continue to grow and continue to move forward in life. And the last one is the coach. We need the coach. We need someone that pushes us. Think back into high school if you're into any kind of sports, and if you weren't. If you've been to any kind of sporting event, if you've been to your kids' football games, basketball games, softball games, baseball, whatever it is, maybe you've done the same, but it's someone that pushes you. Isn't that what a coach does? The coach, gets you out of your comfort zone, because it goes back to the challenger. If we always stay in our comfort zone, there's no need to change. There's no need to get out of that space because, this is pretty comfortable. And we don't grow if we stay within that comfort zone. And, and a coach is always there when we try something new. If you're talking about sports, if maybe you have a coach for personal training, maybe you have a mindset coach. They're always there when you try something new. They're not going to say, go do this and then report back to me. No, let's say, baseball coach, for instance. Baseball coach is going to tell you to do something. He or she's going to stand there and watch you and then kind of say, hey, you did this right, you did that right, let's work on this. It's new, so a coach wouldn't just say, do that, turn around, walk away. No, they're going to stay there and help walk you through, coach you through the process. Did you swing the bat right? Head up. How is your body? All these different things. When it comes to exercise, keep your knees behind your toes. Keep your core in tight. Coaching. So as you try those new things, maybe it's a mindset. Did you think about this? What was your perspective on that? And why did you feel that way? And could you have thought about it a different way? So they coach you through those new things. And then when you need a push, they're the first ones you call. They're the ones that you say, coach. And we're not going to call them a coach, but we know the people that are there, that we need a push. And that when we need a push, sometimes we need a push and we need to start in something in a new direction because we're getting out of our comfort zone. So now we're in some new territory. We need a coach to kind of coach us through that territory and then keep pushing us, because what happens if we don't get that push, we're going to revert back to our comfort zone. It's just like a thermostat. If it's always going to go back to what it knows. It's always going to go back to 75 degrees. That's just where it's comfortable. So it's always going to go back to that. And we're no different. We're always going to go back to what we know. If we don't continue to get out of our comfort zone and have someone push us, then that someone is our coach. So those are the 5 types of people we need in our lives. Not names, but types. We need the cheerleader. We need someone that's going to encourage us. We need that safe place. Someone that's going to protect us and protect our feelings and our thoughts and our ideas. We need that motivator. That's someone that's going to inspire us to do big, great things. We need that challenger that sometimes says, "Now wait a minute. Have you thought about this? Let's be honest. You're not real great at this. So let's talk about that." And then we need that coach that's someone that pushes us outside of our comfort zone to go for those things that are new and hard and challenging for us. So those are the people that we need in our lives, and hopefully as we went through those, you put some names with those, and if you don't have names for those, start thinking about who's my cheerleader, and think back, and who is that? Who's my safe place? Who's my motivator? Who's my challenger? Who's my coach? And start putting names with those, and start thinking about it as you interact with them. Think, yeah, they really are my cheerleader. Wow, they really are my challenger. And start thinking about that. And if you don't have someone in those spots, start looking for that. because when we look for things, we start to attract those things. They start to come to us. It's just like if we buy a new vehicle. When we think, I've never seen this vehicle, I hardly ever see it. We buy the vehicle, and all of a sudden we start seeing it everywhere. We start seeing it on the road, in the parking lot, at the gym. We start seeing it everywhere. They've always been there. We have just now started looking for them. The same thing is true with all the types of people in your life. They've always been there. Just start looking for them. And if you need help looking for them, I'd love to connect with you. You can go to my website, aarondegler.com. I'd love to connect with you there via text, through email, through one of my coaching programs, personal training program, one of my groups. A lot of opportunity that we can connect, and we can start connecting you with those types of people you need in your life: the cheerleader, the motivator, the coach, the safe space, the challenger, all those. We can start connecting you with those people. I'd love to be a part of that and love to help you connect with the people that you need in your life. And thank you so much for stopping by and joining me today. And as I tell my wife Kim every night before I go to bed, it's bottom of the ninth, double A, out.